Hi, welcome to the Flower Species channel where I thought I would share a pattern that I actually did upload a while ago on the Mound series, The Misunderstanding of Multiplicity. Back on that channel I started to, and then I brought it forward to the Flower Species channel, and I decided maybe I would do a knit along, and I tried to do that live on Facebook, and it was really very funny that day. Some of you that will remember that my voice came out sounding like Darth Vader because there was a double playback going on. So I just gave up on it. I really quick tried to show people the pattern, and I didn't get through it. So it was just too tough to watch. So I'm going to try to just do the 6 rows, repeat, and a couple of the first repeats, and explain the pattern to you and tell you where you can get it and put the links down, and then make this as short as I can. Okay, this pattern I originally found on favecrafts.com, and it was called Jazzy Poncho, and it was shown in a purple color with fringe, and it was a V-neck and diagonal made made poncho. And then I did an image search on it and found it on Mary Maxon in a much cleaner PDF download that was just written nicer. And if you want to go to marymaxon.com, it's called the Lacy Summer Poncho, and it works up really beautifully. And I'm using this for many things, and I like to find patterns that you can have multi-uses for. And the way this works up is in 2 panels that are identical. And if you're making it for a junior size or a petite woman, or like a teenager or a petite adult woman in height, you would cast on 33 stitches. If you're making it for an average size to tall woman, you would cast on 43 stitches. If you wanted to put side stitches on, you could do that and create a little border for yourself. You don't need it. I put 2 side stitches on mine, and I made mine for an average woman, so mine is 43 stitches plus 2, so I have 47 stitches, 2 on each side. If you're going to make this, it calls for you to either use a size 10 or 13 or size 15, 13 or 15 US needle, or 9mm or 10mm needle. I'm using a 9mm. I like the how it's working up on a 9 for me. The lace, which by the time you block it, it's very open space lace, but not too much. It's just lays nice. What you're gonna do is 2 identical panels. You're gonna cast on any way you want. It says you can use a long tail cast on or whatever is comfortable or preferable for you. I did a long tail cast on. There are plenty of video tutorials out there on how to do that. All you need to know how to do this is to knit, to purl, to slip a stitch purlwise, and to knit 2 together, and to PSSO, pass the slip stitch over, and how to yarn forward or yarn over. That's all you really need to know how to do, and bind off. It does call for you to bind off loosely. You'll need a pair of scissors. You'll need your needles. I'm using a 4 medium worsted weight yarn. You can make this on any yarn. You would just have to adjust your needle size. I'm making this with Crochet Cotton, number 10 fine lace for curtains. and I'm making, working on my bedroom ones now, in white, and a little bit of gold and green is in there, and I'm using a variegated cotton, and it's working up really nice. I'll show you that when it's done. So you can make curtains with this. You can, because it would make a really nice curtain, I think. You can also make table runners. You could make a really nice wrap. It doesn't have to be a poncho. You could also put less stitches on, and you could bump it down to 23, and it could be a scarf, a really lacy, beautiful scarf. There's so many things you can do with this. So I thought it would be a really cool pattern to show you, and you can do whatever you want with it. What else? If you're going to make the poncho, you need to make 2 identical panels, bind off loosely. You need a tapestry needle or embroidery or a darning needle, and you're going to sew the 2 ends together in an L shape. Like you're going to take both your panels and put them down wrong side facing you, and then you're going to shape it into an L, like have one going this way, and you'll have a short side to sew, and you'll be able to flip it over, and that's basically what you're going to do, and it will create a V-neck there. Got it. It'll create like that going on, and it just falls vertically nice. You can put your arms out. It's not like a potato sack. The first one I made for my cousin, and I followed the pattern exactly the way it was supposed to be. And the front of it, when you get done sewing, assembling it, and there's a diagram you can follow it with sew this end to this end and that end to that end. The first one I made, it was supposed to be a V-neck, but hers came out a little bit more of a cowl neck, like more like a further up. I think it really looks prettier as a V-neck. The reason that did was my own mistake. I read the pattern, I think, wrong, because I did an alternating double shell and single shell in around the V-neck, and I think it just put too much there around the neck. So you're going to do a single, you're going to need a crochet needle, a J, it calls for a J hook, but if you don't have a J hook, you can use an H or a G or an I, and you can get it done. And so when you get done with your panels, you're going to want to wash them, and you can hang them over your shower, over a ironing board or something high up that's loose, and let it naturally begin to block and fall out. And then when it's just damp, take and block it by just pinning the ends and then the sides, so that you stretch out all the stitches, really open up. But really, truthfully, it doesn't call for you to block this because it's already such an open stitch. And once you get it off the hook and wash it and it relaxes, it naturally falls into place. So what you're going to want to see in it, let's see if I can show you here. Let's see. You're going to want to see that there's areas that bunch together and then come out, and they go in all different directions, and some are bigger spaces and some are smaller, and that's why it's called Jazzy. It's really a pretty, very pretty pattern. So I'm using Red Heart, Love Soft, Red Heart, medium worst weight. This is Mountain Blue, not Sky Blue, it's Mountain Blue. And I've got about 6 repeats on here. I'm going to do this until it's 30 inches long and till you don't to when, and it is going to look like that. It's going to point here and point here. You just want to, and point here in the middle too. You just want to stretch it down just a little to get to the 30 inches. You don't want to really pull on it too much. So just keep knitting until you get to 30 inches without stretching it too much. And if you have a number 13 or 15, 13 or 15 needle, or 9mm or 10mm needle with a cable on it, a 40-inch cable, that would be even better, because there are a lot of open stitches that fall off. If you don't have that, you're going to want to keep a little stopper on there, little, lost for words, a stitch stopper holder, okay? Not a holder. A holder is something different. A stitch, something to keep your stitches on there. I didn't have one of these for years. I used an eraser, and you can also use a rubber band. Just put a rubber band around it. That works too. I'm using bamboo needles that I got in a set that work really good for me. You can use whatever kind works for you. Alright, so this is made up in 6 rows, and after you do your cast on, you're going to cast on as many stitches as you want for your size, and purl that very first row. Cast on and purl that very first row, and then that is your foundation row. So then you're going to do row 1, which is an action row, and row 2 is going to be purl row. 2, 4, and 6 are purling. So I'm going to show you a little bit of the purling, and then I'm going to go off camera for that to make the video shorter. So you can just purl row 2, 4, and 6. Row 1, 3, and 5 I'm going to show you, and they're really kind of redundant. So I'll just show you the beginning of them and the end. And then your last row before your cast off, you're going to purl just as you did for your first row when you cast on. I'm saying cast off, I mean bind off, sorry. So here we go. Let's see if I can get this straight. I usually can do this until I go to make a video. Then I can't. Oh, the phone rings, or my cat cries, or I don't know, something goes cuckoo. So I'll hope that this works if I go really short. My viewer pops off. Strange things happen. Okay, but row 1 goes like this. First, I have those 2 stitches knit on there, so I'm going to knit my 2 stitches. So you go left to right under your needle, and your unloaded needle is on the bottom now, and it's crisscrossed. I'm just going to take your yarn and counterclockwise go over that unloaded needle, and then grab it with the other needle, and you're connected at this point, and then just push that stitch off. And again, I'm going to knit my 2 side stitches. So there. Then the first row, the setup to the row of the repeat, is knit 1. Then you're going to, the repeat is in between the asterisks. You're going to knit 1, yarn over. Some people do this, and some people dip. I am a dipper, so I do that. Knit 1, yarn over, knit 3. You're going to slip 1 stitch purlwise, which means you're going to bring your yarn in front, just over your needle. You can do it with your finger. And then just enter that stitch as though you were going to purl and slip it over. And then you're going to knit 2 stitches together. And then you're going to come over here and you're going to grab that stitch from left to right in the front and pass it over that stitch and give it a little tug because that locks it in and it creates shape and movement too. So that's called a PSSO. Then you're going to knit 3, 1, 2, 3, and yarn over. You're going to do that to the end, and then at the end you're going to knit 2. I'm going to knit 4 because I have the 2 stitches. So again, I'll do the repeat one more time. You're going to knit 1, yarn over, knit 3. And yarn over and enter your stitch purlwise and slip it. Knit 2 together and PSSO. Left to right in the front, grab that stitch that you slipped and pass it over. Knit 3. And yarn over. So that's basically, you're going to do that all the way to the end. So I'll be right back. Okay, so then you want to just put your stitch folder on and just come along and check to make sure you have everything as you're going. I meant to say that everything is okay and nothing is dropped. If you do drop a stitch, it's really kind of easy to find it drop because it's such a loose open pattern. And if you have a crochet needle handy or even a bobby pin, you can just go grab it. Or even with your fingers, it's easy to just grab it and put it back up. So I've been having to check mine because it's so loopy that it will go sometimes over even over this. So just check that. Okay, and then row 2 and 4 and 6 you're going to purl all the way across. But I'm going to knit my 2 side stitches. And then when you purl, you're going to bring your yarn in the front. And I continental purl, you go right to left under your stitch in the front. Grab that yarn there and pull it through. That's more of an elbow shoulder movement for me. And I know a lot of people don't like doing this, but a lot of people don't like purling. I love purling. I love purling in the front loop, the back loop. I love purling in the bottom loop. I love purling. Purling really makes things prettier. It gives you, it elongates the stitch, but it also gathers the stitch. Now in the rows that you're purling, you will have more stitches. So you won't maintain the stitch count you began with. So don't worry about that if you have more stitches on the purl row, because it will straighten back out on your action rows where you're doing different things. So row 2, I'm just going to keep purling along. If you don't like to continental purl, you can English style purl, where you put your yarn in the front, but make sure it doesn't fall in between, and just keep it in the front. I'm still using my finger there to keep it in the front, and you go ahead and put insert your needle in the right to the left in the front, and counterclockwise put your yarn over the top needle, and then grab that stitch and bring it through. Again, you're going to do English style, yarns in the front, go through the front, yarn over the top needle, and keep going like that. Or you can just hold it in the front and continental purl all the way across, like this. Okay. Try not to get out of the camera there, so just do this all the way across. Not easy. And you'll be done with row 2. So I'm going to keep purling all the way to the end and knit my 2 side stitches on the end, and I'll be done. And I'll show you what this looks like at the end of this row. So I am right here now, and here's another time you want to just check it because you have the ability to stretch it out now. Okay, so I'll be right back. Okay, so we're to row 3, which is an action row. Row 2 has been purled. And row 3 goes like this. Row 3 is my favorite row. So hopefully I won't mess it up, right? I'm going to knit my 2 side stitches. Very easy pattern. Okay. And knit your 2 side stitches if you have them. If you don't, just follow the pattern. The setup to row 3 is knit 1, and then you begin your repeat in between your asterisks. So I'm going to knit 2. I'm hung up in there. I'm going to knit 2, 1, 2, and you're going to yarn over. Again, you can do this, or you can dip and knit 2 again, and then slip 1 purlwise, bring your yarn in the front, and enter your stitch as though you were going to purl and slip it, and then knit 2 together, and then pass your slip stitch over, going left to right in front over that stitch, and then knit 2. And yarn over and knit 1. Okay, that was 1 repeat. You can see that. The lighting is so weird here. Okay, there you can kind of see it. So you can kind of see my borders going all the way down like that. And then it begins the zigzaggy thing. So again, another repeat, and then I'll go off camera, do the rest of it, is the repeat for yarn 3, for row 3, sorry, is knit 2, yarn over, knit 2, purlwise slip stitch, so bring your yarn in the front and as if to purl, slip your stitch, then knit 2 together, and I'm not ashamed to use my fingers because that's what God gave them to me. And the thick needles, you might have to give yourself a little help and then slip that stitch over. So do your PSI. It's just easier to get onto the 2 stitches sometimes with the thicker thing to just grab your, just get it done, make it work. And then 2, knit 2, yarn over, knit 1. I'm going to do that one more time with you and then go off camera. So we're going to knit 2 with the yarn in the back. We're going to yarn over or yarn forward. We're going to knit 2 We're going to slip 1 stitch as if to purl with our yarn in the front. We're going to knit 2 together. And I will say this, it helps if you work down closer to the shaft of the needle than the tip, because then it gets a little tight. So just push your stitches around if you need to. Knit 2 together. And then slip that stitch over and lock it. And then knit 2. Yarn over, knit 1. You're going to end this by knitting 3 instead of 1 at the end. You're going to stop before you get to 3 stitches and knit those last 3 stitches. I'm going to knit 5 stitches because I have the 2 side stitches. And that's what you'll do if you have 2 side stitches also. And I'm going to carry on and I'll be right back. Okay, so I completed row 4 and then dropped all my stitches off because I didn't put my stitch marker on when I went to turn, and they all went right up. So yeah, really have a really tight stitch marker on it, and or really use a cable if you can. This is like my 4th one I've made of these, and I don't usually drop my stitches, but if you turn really fast, it can really happen. So yeah, do your little stitch holder or rubber band every time you turn if you're using straight needles, or try to get a cable. You don't really need a cable, just make sure you block off your stitches. Okay, so got all my stitches back on, I hope. I do. And that was row 4 that we purled. 2, 4, 6 we purl. And row 5 goes like so. Hopefully. Okay, it's a very redundant row. You're going to be alternating what you're doing, so it can be really easy with this last row. And there's even clarifications written into it, because that's the one row people have had a little question on. You're basically alternating what you're doing with the repetition, and then at the end you're stopping and you're going to do a different repetition at the end. So I will show you what to do and then tell you what to do at the end and come back and do that with you. Okay. So we're going to, the setup to the repeat is knit 1. I'm going to knit 2 because I have my 2 side stitches, of course. I'm going to knit 2. Again. And then you're going to, the setup is knit 1, knit 2 together, and I really put my stitches on tight to keep them on, so I'm going to help myself by putting my stitches over with my fingers if I have to. Okay, so knit 2. Then you're going to yarn over. This is the repeat. Yarn over, knit 1. Yarn over, knit 1. Slip 1 purlwise, knit 2 together. I'm going to help myself again because they're a little tight now. So I really like yanked them on there. I was like, don't go anywhere. Yeah, that's going to be a little tight. So knit 2. And then pass your slip stitch over as we've been doing. Yes, that's how. And then we did yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, knit 1. Now we're going to knit 1. yarn over, knit one, yarn over, slip one purlwise, knit two together, and hash slip stitch over. Get a little tug. Again, the repeat is yarn over, knit one, yarn over, knit one, purlwise, slip your stitch, knit two together, hash your slip stitch over, and then knit one, yarn over, knit one, yarn over, hash slip stitch over purlwise, knit two together, or I meant slip your stitch over, I'm sorry, purlwise. It's back on there. And then you're going to end the last repeat when you get over here. I just want to tell you beforehand so you stop in time. You're going to end the last repeat with knit one yarn over twice, then knit two together, and then knit one. I'm just going to keep going with yarn over, knit one, yarn over, knit one, slip a stitch purlwise, knit two together, hash a slip stitch over, knit one, yarn over, knit one, yarn over, make sure everything's on there because I dropped and I want to make sure. Okay. Back to the front, yarn over, knit one, yarn over, knit one, slip a stitch purlwise with your yarn in the front, knit two together, and pass your slip stitch over. Then knit one, yarn over, knit one, yarn over, pass your slip stitch over with yarn in the front, knit two together, or I keep saying pass your slip your stitch. Now we pass over. Sorry. And back to knit one, yarn over. Okay, let me just check something. Okay, we're going to do one more. I'm going to do yarn over, knit one, yarn over, knit one. We're going to slip our stitch purlwise. We're going to knit two together, and then half a slip stitch over. And now we're going to yarn over, knit one, yarn over, knit one, and I have, and then we're going to knit 2 together, and then knit 1, but I have 2 stitches to knit, so I'm going to knit 3. So you just have to stop with enough stitches at a time, so just count your stitches, just count a knit 1, yarn over, so you're going to count 1, 2, let me see, you're going to count knit 1, knit 1, knit 2, knit 1, so you're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you're going to count 5 stitches, and you're going to end your yarn over knit 1, yarn over knit 1, slip 1 stitch purlwise, knit 2 together, pass, slip stitch over, PSSO, yeah, and then yarn over, and then knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, like that. You're going to do all that regular repeat and stop at 5 stitches. And knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, and then knit 2 together, and then knit 1 at the end. That with your 5 stitches. And if you have the 2 side stitches, you're going to stop at 7 stitches. So that's that. Then row 6 is just purl, and I will knit my side stitches, and then purl across the 6. That's it. 6 easy rows, not hard at all. I'll put the links in the information box to everywhere I found this and all the names it's being called, because it's been a very popular one. Oh, also, you can use your J hook, or if you don't have a J hook, an H hook, an I hook, whatever. The pattern calls for, it's optional to put fringe on it. If you're going to put fringe on it, you're going to cut 3 strands of yarn equal sizes, and just go into your loops with your what do you call it, your crochet hook, and knot them and make your fringe. And you can stagger it any way you want. If you don't want a lot of there you go, so you can see how it looks. So if you don't want a lot of fringe, you can go every other loop or every 3 loops. You can do it every loop. If you don't want the fringe at all, you don't have to have it. I didn't do it, and I know that my one friend said she'd prefer not to, I think, have the fringe. So it's totally up to you. This works up really nice with a yarn that is has like a metallic thread running through it, or I think it's called Party or Dazzle thread with some yarns. It's really a pretty scarf to make for winter too, if you have a thick one that has that kind of variegated silver maybe thread going through, or gold. Just looks really pretty that way. If you are going to make this for like curtains, I would use a number 10 red heart, or number 30 fine Brene Handicrafter, or a number 1 fine Aunt Lydia's, or I mean, all the brands will say a different number, but it's crochet yarn. Lace or sock yarn would work great for this, for curtains. I think I might just make balances, because I don't really want curtains with this much space with my cat in the house. It would only take 1 claw and they'd be gone. So I'll probably make balances because I just want a little something around my windows, not really curtains. I don't like heavy curtains. For years I had heavy draperies that were custom made. They were really beautiful, but I would always go back to sheer or nothing. I'm very much a sparse, streamlined kind of flat. You would never know it by looking at my home, but my own personal style is very, very flat, thin furniture, futonish type stuff, and like landscape high type windows. I don't like a lot of big drapery going on. So blinds are all white. I like. I always look at the video of John Lennon and Yoko Ono singing Imagine, the big white room with the piano and and she's opening the windows and all, and the sheer drapes are just blowing. I just love that look. But I've left my windows with blinds until I can get the kind of shears I want, which have a little bit of a flower. I was looking for something with a little flower going on or a little pattern, and this is perfect. But for the poncho, let me make sure that's really tight. This is what I was doing when they all fall off. Okay, so that's row 6, and then it's all on you. And again, you're just going to pin the bottom when it's damp and pin out the sides evenly. And it will open up. It's already opened up, but it will open up even more and be wide enough. And then again, you're going to purl the last row and bind off very loosely, and then fasten off, and then take your embroidery needle, and you can choose any kind of stitch you want to do. Mattress, Kitchener, whip stitch will work, anything. And just keep one this way and one this way on the bottom. And you're going to take the short side and just bring that over and sew it to the other end. And it will automatically make the V. And then you're going to take your, in the assembly, you're just going to take your crochet hook, and then with the front facing you, you're going to go all around your V-neck, starting from the V up and around the collar. You're going to do a shell stitch, a single shell stitch all the way around, and you'll have that V shape. It does look better with a solid color, I will say that. I just think because there's so much going on that it looks better in a solid. That is the pattern. It's called Jazzy Poncho. It's also called Summer Dream Poncho and Lacy Poncho. So make 2 panels identical, sew them together, and do your little V shape. You can embellish it the way you want, fringe or not, and that's the pattern. Thanks for watching. Have a nice night, and I hope you'll try this and let me know how it worked out for you. Take care. Bye-bye.